What's up, you guys? It's Hugh here, back in another video, and in this one, we're gonna be talking about how to break down and fish cold water ponds. And I've been getting this requested a few times, not very much, but I got the idea from a question on Instagram, like a question poll deal, and I really liked it. And I got a few more DMs like, "Hey, man, you should actually do that one." So here we are. And I would say it's not that hard to do. You just have to really put your thought into it. And, I guess let's just get right into it. Also, this camera's a little bit messy with the way it focuses. Sometimes it focuses and unfocuses just randomly. Sorry if that happens. Anyway, so I guess first off would be we're gonna do it throughout the whole year, right? Let's start with winter and where to fish in the pond, how to fish it, and what to throw. So I say the first thing right off the bat is deep water. Even if it's not deep, middle of the pond, usually the deepest spot. See, it just did it again. Usually the deepest spot. Sometimes it's not, but no matter where the deepest spot is, just try to just stay in that deepest area whenever it comes to wintertime. And then rocks, it's in my cold water video. You can probably, I'm sure there's a lot of tips in there you could pick up on for pond fishing. I'm pretty sure I went over ponds in there. But yeah, deep water and rocks or sticks poking out of the water, those conduct heat, so the fish are going to lay up against those because those can stay hot. Or say a stick poking up out of the water, say the day's warmer than it has been, they're going to be leaning up against it because why is it doing that so much? That is insane. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna mess with my camera a second. Okay, so we're back. Hold on. All right. So, where was I? Deep water rocks. Okay. So, say it's a warmer day, right? And the sun's out, and it's normally. I'm gonna fix my mic real quick. Okay, it doesn't look the best because you can see the mic stand, but whatever. We're gonna deal with it. So, I guess one of the biggest things, like I just said, I haven't finished even saying it. So, if the water's colder than the air, the stuff sticking out of the water is going to be warmer. So, say there's a single branch sticking out of the water, those fish are going to be leaned up against that branch, or at least one fish, or a log, or just a tree, anything, because that tree or that log or that rock, whatever, is absorbing that sunlight, and it's transferring that heat down to the base of it. And those fish are going to be leaned up against that all day if they have to, just as long as it's warm. Because, they want to stay comfortable. The fish want to stay warm. That's kind of their whole deal. And then, so that's where. And then, just the deepest part, rocks, sticks, structure, but not on any day, only whenever it's warmer. And then baits is you're gonna want to fish silently. And this goes for all year. So say you're in what would be considered a small pond. Let's say the pond is 40 foot wide and 60 foot long, right? And you're casting to the other end of that 40 foot spot. That's a pretty small pond, all right? That's a small pond. And you're fishing that little thing, and hold on, fix my camera a little bit. You're fishing that little bitty pond, and you're casting, I don't know, you're casting a chatterbait. That's a pretty heavy bait for the most part. Not all of them, but they tend to be pretty popular when they're heavy, and they throw a lot of vibration. You don't want to be throwing that kind of stuff in a small pond. I'm not saying chatterbaits are bad, even though we know I can't catch fish on one. Just a loud, noisy bait is not ideal for a small pond, because the fish are more likely to be finicky because they feel every footstep around them, So that's another huge thing. Whenever you're walking up to the pond, make casts 10 feet away from the bank, because it's just gonna be so much easier whenever you're if you're right next to the bank, it's not gonna be as easy to catch them off guard or surprise them with that bait or whatever. They're gonna know you're there. If you're on the edge of the bank in a 40 by 60 foot pond, every fish there knows you're there. Unless it's super murky and deep, really deep, but that I don't see that happening. So, baits, I would say wood throw. Stay away from big noisy stuff. Spinnerbaits are okay. They throw off a lot of vibration, but if you slow roll them, that should be a killer. Um, let's see. What's my favorite? I'll give my top three. Number three is creature baits, but like the still ones, especially in the winter, with maybe a 1/8 ounce little slip weight, right? And just Texas rig it. That's one thing that I think would work really good. And the reason for that is it's going to be like falling. It's not going to be falling super, super fast, so it's going to look a little bit more natural. Because in my opinion, just that fall fasting action, it doesn't work that great, in my opinion. Based off my experience, I've caught so much more fish on a more natural fall than on like a straight. But hold on, that straight boom to the bottom is also really good if you're fishing heavy cover or the fish are going crazy. Like that gives a good reaction strike. So that's another good thing, but just not for small ponds. It'll scare them off, you know. So I don't know. Pretty light little jig head or slip weight, whatever, on a creature bait. That's always really killer. Number two is a wacky rig. Wacky rig. And even if you're in deep water, you can still throw it. Just put a little weight on there of some sort, any kind, you know, just to get it in that deeper water. That for sure will help a lot. And it's one of the best finesse baits out there. And everyone knows one. Everyone who fishes has thrown a wacky rig if they fish for bass. And maybe not everyone, but I don't know a single person that bass fishes that hasn't used a wacky rig. And I know a lot of people think like, oh, but dude, like, you know, I'm too good for that. I know that sounds dumb, but there's a lot of people that just like don't throw wacky rigs or like Senkos because, you know, they gotta match the hatch or be all sneaky with these I almost said high tech, like these real big fancy lures. A lot of bass fishermen are like that, but wacky rigs, they get the job done. You catch some big fish on it too, so you know, wacky rigs my number two. Number three, of course, as I said or number one, of course, as I said in the last video, is Ned rig. I threw my first Ned rig 2 years ago, and it was in this little bayou by my house. Perfect. Okay, the reason I think I know so much about this is I fish lots of small ponds and I fish lots of tiny creeks. And especially those creeks, they're so sensitive to everything, especially when that water's crystal clear. You have to just be so careful with them. Ned rigs, though. There's a few ways that you can work them in a small pond and get a lot of attention. So, along with like a small swim bait, I think those two are tied for what I'm about to say. So one thing that you might think is kind of odd is reeling the Ned rig just straight in and fast. And it'll get that reaction strike, but the thing is, it's not loud, it's not noisy. The splash, whenever you cast it, it's a little splash. It's not going to stir them up. It's good. And it looks like a minnow, just like, I don't know, scurrying away from some bigger fish, a bass or something. Just reel it in kind of fast. Like, just like popping it back and forth and reeling it at a moderate speed. Okay, and then that's per baits. And I would say how you fish it is fish it very in depth. So, say the pond is a square, right? There's a square. You want to fish this corner. I don't know the pond. Okay, maybe that's a bad corner, but say this corner looks good, or the spot around it looks good. You get in that corner, you cast down that bank, right there, all the way, like you're a clock, okay? Like you're going from 6 to 12 on the clock. And the reason I say that is, or I guess I should specify more, whenever you're doing that, don't do it this way. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 and work your way towards the middle. The reason for that is, say there's a fish right here and you cast it and you accidentally spook it. Then it goes farther to the right. You do it again, farther to the right. Do it again, farther to the right. If it's in the middle, eventually that lure will annoy it enough to where you're basically trapping it, right? That was my stepdad sneezing. So that's your cast, right? And then it's just slowly lowering that little center. And say it's not likely that you would scare a fish like that, but in case you did, you're basically trapping them, right? And by the time you get to that middle, if there's a fish that was doing that, they're going to be so annoyed that they're just going to bite it. And I'm not going to say like it's foolproof, like it'll work amazingly, but I've done it before in this little bayou by my house, and it worked pretty good. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about winter. Um, and spring. Okay, so pretty similar. You want to fish it the exact same, like I just said, but the only difference is the spots. Shorelines. You're going to want to stick to the shorelines, but you're going to fish them differently. You want to get on the flat side of the shoreline, right? Say it's a square still. You don't want to get in the corner. You want to get in the flat side. And also, whenever I say corners, I mean like do that throughout the whole pond. Like this corner, do that. This corner, do that. This corner, do that. But with spring, you want to do it like on the flat side of the shoreline, right? Say it's a square. You're doing it right here. And you want to do the exact same thing I just said, 6 to 12, right? But the only thing is you're going to be throwing different baits. And my top 3 would 100% be, for pretty much the entire springtime, like a shadowy, like a ghost shad from Riverwise Lures. Those are really good. Swim jigs. That's number 2. And then number 3 is, I don't know why I said number 3. Number 1, my number 1, square bills. But, you're going to want to throw little ones. Hopefully you can find a little one with a bigger bill on it. Little square bills, they're killer in the spring. And I think the bigger ones are dying down now. Just so many people have used them. I've thrown some bigger square bills. I don't catch near as much fish as I do on little ones. And sure, there's going to be smaller fish, but you catch just as much keepers. So, it works. I mean, I think that last year? Last spring, I caught a 4.5 pounder on a square bill about this big. It was probably 6 foot of water, and that thing only dove like 2 feet. So, it doesn't completely matter, but it does depend on like where the fish are at and if they're spawning or not. But yeah, killer baits. And you're going to want to be casting on the flats, right? So the part that the fish, because in the springtime, they're pretty much the whole spring, whether it be pre-spawn, present spawn, I don't know what it would be calling it, just the spawn, I don't know, or post-spawn, and present spawn. And then, yeah, so, also, I feel like my eyes probably look weird. I think I'm looking at, like, the side thing right there, and I think you can probably tell. I don't know if I am, though. I'm kind of not paying attention to what I'm looking at. Anyway. So let's move on to summer. So, summertime, fish in a tiny pond, structure. That's all you need, right? Whether it be man-made structure, right? Like a dock out there. For some reason, there's a dock in a 40 by 60 pond. You want to go set that, set anything. Set something that makes shadows if you want. Right? Like, I'm not against it. That works. Because they're going to be in the shadows. And that's the main thing. Fish shadows. Under a rock, under, like, the edge of a culvert. Where the bank overlaps the water. The bank in general, if the water's a little low and the sun's casting against it and you see it in shadow. Any sort of shadow. That's where they're going to be. I'm not saying that's the only place they're going to be. But you're going to catch more fish in the shadows or the grass, especially the grass, those 2 spots more than anywhere in the pond. But a lot of ponds don't have grass, so I'm not going to say grass. But if it has grass, fish that grass. I said that word a lot. So, next is the baits, and I would say, number 3 for some. Also, I'm doing this like straight off the dome. I didn't do no preparation for this or anything. I just set up the camera and I'm just yammering. So it's probably gonna be it's longer than I thought it would be. That's why I'm talking kind of fast. This is why I'm doing the podcast, because there's so much I want to say in a video, but I can't. So I'm gonna start doing podcasts every 2 or 3 weeks. Real talk's back. So yeah, be ready for that. And let's see. Number 3, summer bait. I know my number 1 for sure. Number 3 is a topwater frog. Now, I say number 3. A lot of people pick this as their number 1. I say number 3 because, honestly, they're not that great. They're good. They get a lot of busts, but they're dying down. So many people use them. But then again, we're talking about ponds, so I don't know. But yeah. topwater frogs. One, because it's weedless, and I guess it's the big reason. It's a topwater that you can get in that grass or the surface weeds or whatever. It's killer. You can't. And I mean, who doesn't love that topwater bite? I mean, I sounded so dumb when I said that, but I don't care. It's cool. It's fun. And next, number 2. I'm gonna have to say a jig. Probably a jig. Well, no. I'm gonna change that. It's not a jig. It would be, but not for a small pond. So, let's see. Wait, what did I say is my third? I just forgot because I was about to explain it and I forgot my third. Frog. It was I don't know why I forgot that. Yeah, but anyway, you just throw it. I mean, I already explained the reasonings too. I'm just blanking out, man. I'm sorry. I'm just going and going. There's so many thoughts in my head right now. Number 2, Texas rig Senko. But with like a little weight on it. Smallest weight you can find. And I just like it falling a little quicker. That's it. I mean, and you'll see why. I'll explain that when we get to the next bait. But I just like it falling a little quicker. That's it. And it's a Texas rig Senko. I mean, I don't know. It's a classic in my opinion. It's basically weightless, but you have that little bitty slip weight, like 1/64th ounce or 1/32nd ounce, whatever it is. That it's just killer. All right. I actually never used them that small until like somewhat recently, and it wasn't even in the summertime, honestly. But it's killer, and maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like I shouldn't have said those weight numbers. But honestly, the smaller weight you find, the better. That's why I said that, because the smallest weights I've ever used, I catch the most fish on. Because the weightless works, but I feel like it's just, I don't know. The fish see it so much. Even at ponds, I've had like 3 people fish at it. They've usually seen a weightless Senko. Alright? It's just good. It's got that good action, that slower fall, but it like darts back and forth as soon as you barely pop it. It's killer. And number 1, a wacky rig. No weight. And this is just a straight reaction bite. And sadly, like a lot of people don't know why fish smoke the wacky rig. It's because it's a reaction bite. It's just sitting there in their face, right? And that's all it is. They get so annoyed at it. It's sitting there, and pop, 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 pop. That's why you need to work it as slow as possible. I see people working it right under the surface. It's not how you work a wacky rig, man. And again, shadows. Both of the baits I just said. Fish shadows and shorelines, whatever, grass, anything thick. It's just what you got to do. And, to make your wacky rig weedless, you can do that too. You just got to... it's easier if you're using like a single hook for it, though. I normally end up using just like a normal like worm hook for it, but it depends on where I'm at. Like if I'm at a little pond, I'll probably just use normal little wacky hook. But little pond, that's definitely number 1, wacky rig. And that's okay. I would say drop shot, but I'm not going to, because most of the time if the pond's that small, it's not going to be deep. Now if it is drop shot, oh my god, they kill. I have fished them in one small pond before, and it did amazing. I guess this is an episode of Real Talk. This is so long. I don't know. I guess it's not, but this is such a long video. Y'all are getting a lot of information in here. It's gonna be long because we still got one more season to cover. So, drop shot was like the smallest but most finesse worm you can find, really, and just whatever color suiting the conditions. So dark water, a darker color, light color, in clear water. You get it. And so now we're on to fall. My biggest recommendation is fishing the corners of the pond, casting into the corners. And I guess, so say there's a square pond still, right? There's that square pond, and there's a corner right here. Like, say that Bass Reaper Bait Co. has a corner. You're standing right like here, right there. You want to be casting from there all the way to there, if that makes sense. Basically like a triangle, like boom, boom, boom of your cast from to the left of the corner to the right of the corner, or just straight to the corner. And again, fish it the same way, right, left cast, left, right. I don't know what the heck I just said. You get it. Same thing I was saying earlier. Just in case there's something in that corner and you're trapping them with that little cast. Eventually they're going to get peeved enough to just bite it. And, let's see. My top baits are definitely... Because honestly, there's not much you need except for the corners of the ponds when it comes to fall time. Especially if there's wind. Cast straight into that corner that's got all the wind blowing into it. Because, the bait fish are being pushed up against that. The crawfish are too. Because that wind, they can't handle it. And so the bass are going to just instinctively follow the bait fish. So, the corner that's the windiest is where you're going to get the most. But cast into the windiest, not from the windiest spot. It's just easier. Plus, they won't see your footsteps. Feel your footsteps. And baits number 3. Number 3 is square bill. But shallow diving. But not super shallow. Like 2 to 4 foot. Small one. Again, 2 to 4 foot diving. That's killer. Number 2. And the reason I say that is it's just, I don't know what it is about it, but it works. Especially whenever there's a little bit of wind. Number 2, underspin. There was a day whenever me and my buddy went out, and we went out to this pond last fall. We caught 15 bass in total, all on underspins, and we're doing exactly what I just said, literally. Except it was a little bit different, so it wasn't a square, but it worked pretty much, is all I'm saying. Those underspins, they slay. And you just want to slow roll it in, right above the bottom. And if you're not doing that, then make it in the middle of the water column, kind of popping it, reeling, popping it, reeling. 1, 2, 3. Reel for about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Nah, I wouldn't say 5. Every 3 seconds, give it a pop. You can see my hair poking out. And then, let's see. I would say number 1 bait is 100% skitter walk. No doubting it. Imitates a perfect pearl white or chartreuse. Imitates an amazing imitation of a bait fish. They don't even care what kind of fish it is. They just see it above their mouth, and they're just gonna go up and hit it. And you can fish this anywhere from 1 foot of water to 9 foot of water and do amazing. I've caught fish in 14 foot of water. Or no. I've had big blow-ups in 14 foot of water with a skitter walk. I'm not going to say I've caught them in that deep of water with a skitter walk. And I've caught them in 9 foot of water with it. But it's great. Alright? And especially for small ponds. And I know I said not to throw it around like it's a loud bait, but use the smaller ones. They're smaller sizes. It's killer. And, I think that's pretty much it bait-wise. And you're going to want to fish it the same as you would everything I just said, like placement. Just get as far cast as you can get with that thing. And 1, 2, 3 pops. And let it sit for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Like that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if that sounds right or whatever, but that's how I do it, and it catches fish. So, I don't know. I hope y'all enjoyed this little tip video. And like I always say, y'all haven't heard me say it a lot, but I said it in my last video, bait traps. Set bait traps in your ponds if you're fishing a pond or a bayou, because you're going to know exactly that will guide you more to what to throw than what I'm saying will. Because what I'm saying is more broad. It's commercial. Anyone can follow this, go to a pond, and probably catch fish. But you'll do even better if you're using what works for that specific pond. So figure out what works for that pond. Go do that. So, use whatever species of bait they're eating on, or what color crawfish, what kind of sunfish they're eating, all that. And you would know that a lot better than I did. I hate to admit it, but I don't care that much about you guys to go inspect your pollens. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. The content's getting a little bit better. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was a long video. It's like 25 minutes long, but I hope it was worth it, right? My eyes keep shifting. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm just talking. But that's it. So, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.